Okay, so let's maybe take on the front glass here. We are going to have to do two pieces to this. One obviously with the inside parts, the screen and the flash and camera, and then we have a couple of holes that line up with those coming through the actual glass itself. Alright, so we're going to need to make two copies of this. But first let's maybe just detach this front polygon from the main section. Alright, so just select that and we'll detach it. And we'll just call this maybe body front. Okay, I'm going to just detach those polygons right off of this main section. We don't need to clone it. Okay, and let's select that piece. And we'll apply our blue shader to that. Let's jump into the front view. We'll do Control I and hide everything else here. Toggle our transparency. And we're going to have to add quite a few edges in here in order to cut this detail in. Alright, so for the base part, we're going to do obviously the lens, the speaker, the actual screen's punched in a little bit, and where the button goes there. And then for the glass, we have the hole for the button and the hole for the speaker. The lens is actually underneath the glass, and obviously there's no cutout for the screen on the actual glass. So let's just do the back part first, and then we'll readjust things and modify it to what we need for the actual glass piece. Alright, so let's select the screen here, and we'll figure out how we're going to do this. Let's start by going into vertex, and let's just maybe connect these verts here across. I'm just going to do these bottom two here. We'll connect those up to cut an edge in. And we're going to have to slightly modify things so that this is obviously isn't right in our hole. We need it to be a little higher. Let's maybe add another edge underneath. Alright, let's go back to edge, grab these two and connect it up. Alright, we'll just move this edge up. I'm going to turn on my edge constraints again. And we'll park this one pretty much right underneath the holes here. Like that. And let's also maybe add one more underneath. Maybe right about there. And this one will just help us terminate the edges later on. Okay, it looks like we're actually connecting with two segments here, so let's just grab this one and move this up to the top of the screen. Alright, just line that up. And this guy we can actually use for the bottom of the screen. Like so. And let's maybe get a couple of circles in here first. So back shapes, grab another circle, draw that out over top here. Okay, we'll take down steps to 1 again, change the color to black, and we'll figure out the radius here. We look pretty close. Let's do maybe about 7.2. Okay, we'll just move that over and up a little bit. Right about there. Let's clone it to the other side as a copy. And again, the camera hole here is pretty much the exact same height as this speaker is. So we'll just use the exact same size circle. Alright, kind of line that up in the center there. And now we'll figure out what we can do with these edges. Alright, so let's reselect the main piece again, and let's see. Alright, let's add maybe one more loop in here. Whoops. Let's just do one this time. No pinch, no slide. Okay, and we'll just move that up into the center. And we're going to have to slightly modify this one, so I'm just going to grab that. Make sure you have the edge constraint on here so that the edge won't get out of whack over here. We'll just move this up slightly. Right about there maybe. This one here could come up a little bit more. Okay. And we'll also connect up a couple of our corner vertices here. We probably don't need to do every one, but we'll do a couple. So let's connect these ones here. And let's also maybe do the ones right above it. Connect that up. Okay. Alright, we're going to need to obviously some vertical segments here as well. So let's maybe just select the edges right down the center. and we'll add a loop in there. Okay, I'm going to leave that one right in the center for now so that we have it lined up with the circle down here once we get it in, which actually we could probably do right now. So let's just take a copy of one of these and we'll just shift drag that down to the bottom as a copy. Let's also make sure that we align it on the x-axis here by right-clicking the bottom spinner, and we'll kind of position that in the center and take up the radius. And we'll do maybe about 31 or so on this one. Okay. And now we'll figure out how we're going to do the rest of these loops. Okay, so let's add another one, maybe on the right side of center. Connect that up and make it planar on X to straighten it out. And let's go in at the top here and just slide this over right next to that top circle. Maybe a little bit farther away. And we'll do the exact same thing over on the left side of center. And make planar on X. Let's move that in. Right about there. Okay, and let's maybe add a couple more over here. Alright, so let's grab these edges and connect it up, make planar, and we'll just move it over to the center of that left circle. Alright, try to line it up there. And we also need edges on each side of this one, so let's do a chamfer on this edge. Okay, we'll just do 2 segments and just spread that apart. Something like that's good. Okay, and we also need one edge there and one edge here, so let's add those. Let's bring this edge, connect it up. Just move that over. Same thing here, ring these edges and connect it up. Move that one back. Okay, and let's maybe just cut these in now, and we're going to have to get rid of some of these edges. We don't want these to run all the way down to the bottom there, because that's going to screw up that hole for the home button. Alright, so we'll just zoom in here, and we'll make our cuts here. Alright, so exact same deal again. Alright, we're a little off on this circle. I'm just going to move that over slightly first. Let's turn off snaps. Let's go move that over into the center. And we'll just check and make sure these are lined up correctly. Alright, try to get right on that intersection of edges if you can. Alright, that's good enough. Alright, so now we'll go over and make the cut here. And this one. And right click to end it, turn off cut, turn off snaps, hit H, grab circle 1, 2, and 3, and delete them out. And we'll just quad this up quick. Alright, and first let's actually make sure that these welded together. So I'm just going to grab all the verts around these cuts and hit weld with a 0.1 weld. And then we'll just connect up the corners here. And these ones. Okay, and now we need to get rid of some of these edges. Okay, let's go over to target weld here. And underneath the first circle, we're just going to actually weld these verts here over to this center one on each side. And for the ones down here, we're actually going to weld these ones over to the corner. Okay, that'll allow us to take out some of these loops that run down to the bottom. Okay, so let's do that quick. I'm going to grab this edge and this edge as well as these two here. Do a loop on those, and then we'll control backspace them out. Okay, and we'll see if we can use this edge here running down to create the side of that circle. So let's go to vertex. We'll grab these two verts here And we'll just move this a little bit over to the left and line it up. Okay. And we also need to obviously connect some verts up here at the bottom. Alright, so let's grab these two top ones here, one on each side, and we'll connect those up. And actually, let's cut them. Okay, so let's cut right across from this vert to this vert. Okay, and I'm going to skip one here for a minute, and let's go down to the second one here, and we'll cut that across to the other side. Okay, and let's turn off cut here for a sec, and we'll add a couple more loops across this section. Alright, so let's add a connect there for one segment. Move this up just a little bit above the hole, like that, and we'll just adjust this a little bit by vertex here. And let's maybe do that in a second. We need to obviously connect some of these up to the top as well. And we also need to have some edges for the sides of the screen here. So let's maybe cut a couple more in. We're just going to connect from this vert underneath the edge of the screen here all the way up to the top and match it up. Okay. Alright, so the third one in from the bottom there on each side. Alright, and let's also maybe connect up the last one here up to the top, and the same on this side. Okay, I think we'll leave it like that for now. Let's turn off cut, turn off snaps. And in vertex here, we're just going to maybe move some of these around. Let's grab these ones right underneath. We'll just slightly move those down and just kind of space them out similar to what we have up top, like that. Okay, naturally let's cut that hole in fine, so let's just readjust the circle here a bit. I'm just going to reposition it a little bit better. And actually, let's just move that edge up. I don't want to move that down too much, so I'm just going to do that. And we'll reselect this. Let's grab this row of verts, and we'll just slightly move that up rather than moving the circle itself. Okay, so just line it up with the center again. And we should be able to cut this in fine now. So let's go back to cut, back to snaps, and just trace around it. Okay, turn off cut, turn off snaps, and connect up the corner verts. And we also want to make sure these are welded together, so we'll just do 1.1 weld on those, and then connect the corners. Okay, so we also need to plan a little bit ahead here for supporting this punch in for the screen. Okay, so we're going to need to add some more support edges. Let's maybe do a loop on this edge here. Okay, we'll loop that, and let's chamfer it again. And we'll again use two segments here. We're just going to take the amount way down here. We want this to be pretty sharp. We'll do around maybe 0.8 or so, and okay. And the same up on the top. Loop this edge and chamfer with the same settings. Okay, and we also will do the same thing on the sides here of the screen. So let's grab these two edges, loop them, and chamfer them. And okay, and now we need to get rid of some of these extra edges here that we don't want running up to that corner, because that's going to be a hard spot on each side as well as at the bottom. Okay, so let's figure out how we can terminate these edges. Let's add maybe one more segment right through this section here. Alright, so let's connect it up with one segment. We can move it down a little bit if we want. About there. And we'll see if we can just kind of get rid of a couple of these. Alright, let's maybe weld, target weld these verts here to this one. Alright, so I'm going to do that middle one over and this one over, and the same on this side. Okay, just to be on the safe side here, I'm going to actually add maybe an extra loop through these edges on each side. Okay, so connect it up with one loop. And we're just going to connect the second vertice on the top to that on each side. Okay, and then we can just move these over a little bit if you want to straighten it out. Doesn't really matter. Okay, I just don't want to have an end gone right on that corner if we can help it, so that'll give us quads. Alright, so now we'll get rid of these loops. So what we're going to do here is select the left two of these three and loop them. Okay, and we'll control backspace those out. And the exact same thing over here. Two right ones, loop them, control backspace. And we'll go back to vertex, back to target weld, and we'll terminate this edge loop here coming down, maybe just over to this one on each side. Okay, that's going to give us a triangle there, but because the surface is completely flat, that's really not a big deal. We also have triangles here, obviously, so there's no real reason to quad those up. It should smooth fine. Okay, but we do need to do some work down at the bottom here. So we'll turn off target weld here, and we'll do something similar to terminate these edges. Let's add one more loop through the center here. Let's move that down a little bit. And we'll do pretty much the exact same thing. Go over to this side, go back to target weld, weld these over, and weld these two over. Okay, and then loop the two edges. Okay, and control backspace them out. Alright, and because these edges running this way are just ending off on the flat side here, we really don't need to worry about moving these. That'll be fine if they go right to the edge. Alright, so let's see, let's maybe punch in the screen. Alright, so we'll go back to polygon, and we'll just grab the polygons here for the screen. Let's do this in perspective. So make sure we get the right edges. Alright, so with those polygons selected, we're going to grow it once so we again get those polygons for that first support edge all the way around this. Okay, and we'll punch this in just a little bit here. Okay, so we'll extrude it in. It doesn't need to be that deep. Around 2 is probably good, so we'll hit OK to that. And we'll leave those polygons there for now. Later on we might detach those as a separate object so we can apply a screen texture to it easier. But for right now we'll just leave them attached. Let's also add 2 support edges on the inside here of the punch in. So ring those edges, connect it up 2 segments and pinch them out. Okay, we do want this one to be quite sharp, so we'll do maybe around 75 or 80 on the pinch. I think we're done with most of our cuts here. Okay, so we'll turn off edge and let's cut in this top speaker hole first. Okay, so I'm going to grab the polygons here for the hole. And same process here, we're going to do a couple of insets that are really tight. Around 0.2, we'll do it twice and okay. And this speaker port has a bit of a bevel on the top. If you look at the pictures here, a little hard to see. You can see it kind of bevels in there. Same with the camera, so we're going to need to kind of bevel that in rather than having it go straight. Okay, so we'll go to perspective here, zoom in. And with those polygons still selected, let's do a bevel. Okay, we'll take it down to a negative height. And we'll figure out how much we need to punch this in. Let's do it in the front view here. Okay, we'll take down the amount a little bit more. We'll do something like maybe around 4 on the height, and let's see if we can go a little higher on that. Maybe around -2 on the bevel amount and hit OK. Alright, and now we'll extrude it back one more time. And we'll just leave that maybe around the same, -2, and okay. Alright, and for this one we'll actually delete these out. Okay, now we can come in here and just support this with a couple more edges. Alright, so we'll do a ring on those edges there. Same thing, 2 segments, we'll just pinch those out. We want it to be quite sharp. And same thing on the back here. Dial that one down a little bit more and take out the back loop. Okay, now I'm going to wait to punch in this lens here because we're going to need to make a copy of this for our glass, and as I mentioned before, that's not punched in a glass. The screen is punched in right now, but we can easily remove that for the glass later on. But the button does go through both pieces, so let's take care of that. We'll just do the same process here, grab the 4 polygons, inset them twice. And this one is really sharp, so same thing, 0.2. And we'll punch this one straight back. We don't need to bevel this one. Okay, let's go extrude in. Maybe something like that for now. Around -5 and okay, and we'll delete these out. And support it. And it looks like we have missed weld there. So let me just undo for a second. We'll go back to our inset. And one more. Okay, yeah, you can see that vert there is not attached to that edge, so we need to fix that first. Just grab all the verts here. Okay, we'll do a 0.1 weld first, and then we'll just target weld the one vert down here. Okay, that should get them all. So now we can go back to polygon. Let's do our inset again twice. And we'll just punch that in. And delete them out. Okay, bring those inner edges. And connect it up. And take out that back loop. Okay, so I think we got everything there that we need for now. We're going to have to do some more work on it in a minute. But before we do that, we'll make a copy of this so that we don't have to do all this work again a second time. Alright, so let's just shift drag this over to the left. We'll call this body front glass, or just front glass is probably better. And do a copy on that. And now we'll go back in here and we'll cut in this hole for the camera. Okay, exact same thing. 2 insets. A bevel. And an extrude. Delete those out and support the inside edges. And finally remove that back loop. Okay, so our inside piece here is pretty much done. Let's give it a smooth and see if we missed anything. Okay, so we'll just zoom in up here and just check this out. Okay, everything's looking pretty good there. Our screen is holding up. The corners are nice and sharp. And we have a pretty hard edge around that buttonhole there too as well, which is what we want. Okay, so that's good for that piece. Now we'll just modify our copy into our glass. Okay, so let's hide this one. Grab that one over there. We'll zero out the x-axis to put it back in position. And we'll just kind of clean it up here. Alright, we don't need these holes here, so let's grab these edges. And we'll just do a loop on those. Let's also grab these ones here. Whoops. Don't use the move tool to do that. These two. Okay, so pretty much everything around here besides that center edge. Control backspace that out. We don't need this one, so we can just do a loop and then control backspace on that one. And actually, let's leave that just because of that top vert there. And we'll leave it over there just to be safe. Okay, these ones here we can just loop these and take them out. This one as well. And actually, before we do that, let's actually get rid of those back polygons, just so I don't run into problems. Alright, so it's going to grab the front polygons again here. We're going to grow that selection, and we'll do this in perspective so it's a little easier to see. We want to grow it all the way out to the outside. Alright, so let's zoom in there really close so you can see what's going on, and just grow that a few times. Okay, and we'll delete. Alright, and now we'll go ahead and clean up some of these edges. Let's get rid of this one as well as this one. So loop and control backspace. We don't need this guy or this one here. So take those out as well. And the same thing at the bottom. Okay, now we'll just go to border, grab the whole, cap it, and we can get rid of a few more edges here. We don't need this one anymore, so we'll loop that. Whoops. Take that one out. Don't need this one. Or this one. And for this guy, I'm actually going to take it out, but I'm going to leave that vert there. Yeah, it's right on the curve there. And actually, let's just maybe connect it up to the top. I guess there's no real reason to take that out if you don't need to. Alright, so we'll go up to the top there, grab that top vert and the matching one down here, and do another connect. And we'll just connect up the cross ones for now and figure out which ones we can take out. Okay, so just connect each of those pairs up. Okay, we don't need this one here. That center mark from the camera lens. So we take that edge out. We'll take these two out as well. Okay, let's actually just target weld this one over first. Okay, so now I'll take those two edges out. Control backspace. And let's just get rid of this one. Okay, so I think I'll leave the rest of the edges here. And we'll try test smoothing this now that we've removed all those sections. Okay, so another turbo smooth 2 iterations in iceline. Just make sure everything's smoothing correctly. Okay, we also can get rid of that circle that's still in there. Okay, so I think we're good on the glass. Let's just select it here. We'll unhide all. Okay, I'm going to go in and select that back piece there. We'll apply our gray shade to this one for a second. And we'll select the glass and just toggle our transparency. Alright, so we're going to need to quickly adjust the position of a few of these pieces here to kind of fit them in here. Alright, so with the glass selected, it's going to be a little hard to see, but I'm just going to slightly move this out. Alright, so just slightly pull that forward. We still want it to be tucked in a little bit around the border here. Okay, I think something like that's pretty good. Let's select the back piece there, or the body front piece, and we'll scroll into the top here and just move that back a bit. Let's do it from the top view. Alright, we'll kind of tuck that in behind. Okay, so pretty much just stack them on top of each other. And the same thing up here, it should be pretty much lined up. I'm not going to worry about, you know, fixing the curve in there. We don't really need to do that. Everything's lined up correctly. You won't really notice that once our mesh is in the back. So I think that should be good for the front parts, and we'll do a similar thing on the back to cut in the cameras, which will be a little bit easier because we have a few less pieces to do. Okay, so once again, now would be a good time to save if you haven't already done that. And I guess we'll start on maybe the home button and also clone off that mesh for the top there and take care of the back next.